you're a professional what you do, but still you sometimes face the issues that it's not so easy for you actually to get the job that you love. My definition of success is definitely love what you do and at the same time be really happy. The best moment you are in is the present moment. So I can definitely say that this is definitely one of the happiest times of my life. If you like the hard work that you're doing, it will automatically bring you luck. You should all the time work on yourself and there is no end for your progress. Be ready to learn a lot. Be ready to be there in 24/7. Even during your vacation, you probably should follow the news and etc. And as I said, the only thing you should love crypto, you should love blockchain. And in that case, this is like probably the easiest way to become in this sphere successful.
I am your host Gaurav Garg and we welcome all our viewers to our show Amazing Mentor. Today with us is Miss Maria. She is currently Managing Director of WOW Summit. She is an experienced and passionate tech journalist with a track record of conducting research and interviews in the blockchain space while working with CryptoCoin.news and other media. It's a pleasure to welcome Miss Maria to our show Amazing Mentor. Welcome, Maria.
Thank you so much, Gaurav. I'm really pleased to be invited. Thank you so much for having me.
How was your childhood and what is your favorite childhood memory that you would like to share on our show?
I may say that my childhood was pretty interesting. And one thing that I definitely remember, like since my childhood, that one of the most precious moments which you can have is to have moments like when you were celebrating some very important holidays like Christmas, like Easter with your family. So one of the things that I cherish the most is when you spend those times together. And I'm really blessed to have my parents as my parents, especially my mom, because she helped me a lot to be a person that as I am. And she taught me a lot throughout all of my life. And one of the things that I'm also really grateful for that I believe with her help, because she was a teacher, like literally a teacher of Ukrainian. So my native I'm coming from Ukraine, so my native language is Ukrainian. She taught me to know Ukrainian so well, and she taught me to love Ukrainian literature. So after some time, I started as well. I remember I started to write poems. So when I was a kid, I was writing poems in Ukrainian, not in English at the time. And I remember for me, one of the most precious things, because I used to like to participate in very different competitions, like different Olympiads, which we used to have in Ukraine, and it's actually really popular in post-Soviet Union countries. And the thing is that I used to all the time, very often I would win them. And if you are talking about like something connected with Ukrainian language, when I was writing poems, I even won on the national level. I won one of the such kind of competitions. And after that, I won my first cruise. So it was after the 7th grade. I won my first cruise. So it was on Black Sea. So I really feel like I was so pleased. At that time, you won't believe it, but I was not even thinking that I would win it. And at that time I won, and for me it was something like really, really precious, one of the really precious memories. And also, of course, I'm really grateful to my teachers who taught me English, because afterwards it plays like a big role in my life right now specifically. So as I said, like really one of the most important, probably like brightest memories are like some family moments when you're celebrating some holidays. And another thing, when people who are surrounded you, who are teaching you to become a person, an achiever in the future. So I definitely believe that this is my mom and some of my teachers and some of my relatives who really helped me with that.
Would you like to recite some of your poem you remember?
Of course, I remember them. Like I wonder right now, probably I can recite some of them. But the funny part, like all of them, they were like really a bit childish, but at the same time, they were really sincere, I may say, from my side. I remember one about I was born in the mountain region, in the most western part of Ukraine. And I remember that one of them was dedicated actually to the mountains. And I love to describe the nature in my poems. And the funny part later on, when somebody was asking me, oh, why do you have so little about like some love, feelings, whatever? And I would say like, this is because I probably started very early. So the only thing like at that time, which I was focusing on was the nature, what is surrounding me. And yeah, I remember some of them. And I remember like there was a time when I remembered all of them. And of course, throughout the time, I forgot quite a lot, but some of the most like cherishable ones, I remember.
Tell us about your educational background, schooling and higher education.
One of the things which practically I think really helped me to know English as I know right now is that my specialty is English-Ukrainian translation studies. And a lot of things in terms of like building the vocabulary and learning the grammar, etc., etc. I also continue doing at the university. During those times, I remember this was like not an easy times because like we had like pretty sometimes even tough students time. I mean, in terms of like studying. But at the end of the day, it paid off. So I can definitely tell that the more time you're spending on studying and educating yourself, it will definitely pay off in the future. So I graduated from the Lviv National University, named after Ivan Franko. We had this. So there are only like two these major faculties specifically focused on translation studies. So they were in Lviv and in Kiev. So I graduated from the one which is in Lviv. And I also remember I'm also grateful to a lot of my teachers who at that time who helped me as well to learn English properly, I think so.
What was your dream profession as a child?
This is the funny part because I remember when I was a kid, I used to take some chairs and a table and as if I was reciting the news. And you won't believe it, but this is a funny part. So this is like one of what I was trying like on like many professions. Sometimes I used to be a teacher, so I was trying to be like my mom. There was a time when I was trying like to be a doctor and etc. But I remember one of the most probably in this case interesting was like when I was literally taking a chair and a table and as if I'm holding in my hand some kind of like book or something and I'm reading the news like literally. And the funny part that after the university times, I actually started working at the Ukrainian national radio station. And this is actually how I became the news reporter and in this case, news presenter. So I became news presenter. There was a time that I also worked at TV. So this is how I actually also learned a lot how to be very, I would say, sincere and from this perspective, really natural in front of the camera. So I may say that partially at the time, like my childhood dream did come true. Although at the time, nobody would know that there are like some new professions would come up, especially with the rise of blockchain technology. But I may tell you definitely, some of my dreams, like really bright ones, which I remember, which I really was literally focused on them. I can definitely tell that I realized them when I became a grown up. So I was working at the radio station. I actually, a lot of things as well. I studied there. I learned how to speak correctly to, in this case, also how to deliver the news in a proper way. So a lot of things as well at the radio station. So I may say like throughout all of this period, it's constant learning and it never ends. It never ends, I may tell for sure, because I'm learning, I'm studying like even now when we're speaking with you, like this is like constant like studying, that's for sure.
Any school or college memory that you would like to share on our show?
College memory, I may tell, which for me was also one of the brightest ones. I was a kind of a nerd, so you may call him like this right now. But as I said, it later on paid off. But I was also happy when during the college times, I get to know my company of friends. And at that time, the majority of them, they were not from my faculty. They were from the Faculty of International Relations. And those guys and those girls who were with whom we actually became friends, we were so close. And actually, we spent so much time like spending out, like going sometimes for a vacation together, and etc. And still, the funny part after that, you may say that I would have less time to study, but still, I found enough time to study more and still to have good grades and to have fun and to have, I would say probably this was like starting from the third course. It actually became like one of the brightest memories during the students' years. So one of the brightest probably is also we at that time, Crimea was a part of Ukraine. It still is, but nevertheless, we actually spent our vacation there. And it was also really, I would say, cherished memory for me right now.
What are your hobbies and interests?
I may tell you that throughout, again, my years, I would say that my hobbies were like changing, but there's no hobby that I left. When I was a kid, as I said, I used to like poems. When I a bit grow up, I actually started to write a prose. But I may tell you, like, I used to like swimming and etc. I used to like yoga, and I like them until now. So I may definitely tell belly dancing, swimming, cycling, and probably sometimes yoga. It's definitely what I like right now. And it actually, these are like the types of activities which really make me feel like good every day. Sometimes, honestly, I don't have like time for it like every day, but at least like once a week, I need to go at least for a swim or something like that. Right now I'm trying to like find more time for a gym as well. But I would say like swimming and cycling, this is like probably the best. Yoga and belly dancing. So these are like top 4 right now. And throughout the years, they were like similarly the same. Only there was a time when I also was playing volleyball when I was a kid and ping pong. So these are like the ones which I probably am not doing right now.
So what type of content or poem do you write?
As I said, like practically you may say, as they say so my life from poem has become a prose, as you may call it. But at the same time, right now I'm writing mostly on blockchain, about blockchain. And as I used to write it, and usually these are or business letters, or there was a time when I was writing news. So I was writing news first in Ukrainian previously when I was working at the radio station. So these were like more entertaining or social topics. And later on, it started being like crypto news. And in this case, it's like mostly really a prose, not poems, I may tell.
Who was your inspiration as a child?
In terms of poems, definitely my mom. This is, I can definitely tell for sure, really different people inspired me. But first and foremost, and from this perspective, of course, mom, because really like she taught me a lot. In terms if you're talking about like other different perspectives, sometimes, you remember there was some kind of, actresses whom actually you liked, and when you read their stories, how they became famous, and but I wouldn't say that I wanted at that time be an actress. But over the time, I might say that from actresses, I'm mostly like more and more I read some different stories. I'm inspired probably quite often already by businesswomen who are actually doing the business and in crypto as well. So it only depends what type of goal you have. But I may say that there were like different people to whom I would look up to, and I would like to follow their suit.
Where did you started your career journey from?
During the college times, I used to even teach other students and even small kids English. So you may say partially I started this while still being a student. Although I wasn't doing this like really professionally. Professionally, I started being a journalist later on. It was already in 2012. So at that time, I became a journalist at the Ukrainian national radio station. This is how actually I started like learning everything, how you should do the proper interview, how you should properly deliver the news, how you should properly recite the news, because all of these aspects are really important to make the delivery the proper one. So in 2012, I started my journey as a journalist, as I said, at the Ukrainian national radio station. I worked there for more than 5 years, and later on I shifted and I started doing crypto news, blockchain related news, and it was already in 2017. During that time, I actually entered the blockchain space, and I remember this was the year when I first visited my first ever blockchain conference. It was in Ukraine, the most popular one and the most credible one, which is called Blockchain UAE. This is organized already by my good friends, and I'm really happy that I met them as well, because I believe them to be one of the most knowledgeable people in this space. So this is like additional, like really important thing for me. And the funny part that a year after, I already started to moderate blockchain conferences myself, because I used to before moderate and to be an MC at different festivals or different events. So I really like that. I can definitely tell that I like not only to be news presenter, but also MC and moderator at different blockchain conferences. So starting from 2018, having already at my background different events, which I was also hosting. I started being MC as well at the blockchain conferences all around the world. So I have already coupled like really interesting ones from my perspective, which I had already moderated. Unfortunately, only virtually so far because I couldn't fly right now to Hong Kong, but I moderated Hong Kong FinTech Week. I moderated Hong Kong Blockchain Week. I moderated Africa Blockchain Week. I moderated Blockchain Cruise, Malta AIBC Summit. But also I was doing startup battles like between VC funds and startups. And I was helping a lot with organizing the agenda. And right now, as you mentioned earlier at the beginning, I was a managing director at World of Web3 Summit, which has finished just like recently. But this is like about the majority of my activity. And of course, right now also helping, and as I used to help with some blockchain companies in terms of marketing and PR. Right now, I'm setting up my own company here in Dubai, DIFC, and I believe that there will be a lot of interesting as well news upcoming. There will be a lot of interesting conferences also coming, and not only in Dubai.
What aspect of your job do you like the most?
I'm really inspired by those people in crypto and blockchain who you can see from their eyes that they are here not for the money's sake. They're not here to be honest, they are not scammers, because one of the things everybody should like understand that in this space, there is only one big drawback. A lot of, as they call them, bad players. So you have to be careful because of this. But at the same time, if you listen carefully, if you learn, if you study carefully, you can actually differentiate between those people who are like, in this case, really knowledgeable from bad apples, as you may call them. So I'm really excited when I see those like this light in their eyes, this passion, when I can see it really drives me myself. I'm really passionate about what I'm doing. I'm really passionate about good quality blockchain conferences and how to organize them. I'm really passionate to present a good product on the market. So I may tell you one thing. Of course, I think I also did some mistakes. Like sometimes I might as well from the beginning like join a company which like sound like they wanted to do good changes. Sometimes, not always, I might be wrong. But at the same time, the more like I can see, the more I'm in the space, the better quality the next offer is. And in this case, taking into account, I'm really blessed that like I'm getting a lot of offers to cooperate and to work with someone, to partner with someone. And I think the more like I'm in the space, the more I can definitely tell with whom you would like to be, with whom you would have to be, with whom you will better you would join, which company, etc., which partnership, etc. But at the end of the day, you're choosing. I think I'm choosing better, and I'm not thinking, but I may definitely say. So I really like the people in this space who are really, as well as I am, passionate about really driving, like learning more about financial technology and teach others about financial technology. And in this case, helping with financial inclusion in the way that you help people who did not understand and who do not understand yet the new financial reality, help them understand it, embrace it maybe, and in this case, use it to their own benefits.
So what are the importance and benefit of a blockchain?
Blockchain technology doesn't have to be, if we're talking, let's start from the cons and better later on from, let's move on to the props. Depending on the type of your company, you may benefit from it. To be honest, I don't think that every kind of company needs blockchain technology. I mean, I believe that you have to be, in this case, think where you can use it properly to your biggest benefits. And this is probably the only, from my perception, con, if you don't know how to use it and apply it to your work. So if, for example, it doesn't come like it's something like important tool and you don't really know how to use it, because honestly, actually sometimes some of the government bodies and entities were trying, for example, also in Ukraine, some of them, I won't be naming specific ones, use it, but they didn't have even the needed infrastructure for it. So here we come to a problem. So you need a blockchain technology, but actually for what? So it doesn't have to be from this perspective as just used for the sake of blockchain technology. You have to understand that, of course, there's only the additional one big con, but it actually has a big thing to do with GDPR. If we're talking about Europe, because of this law, new law on GDPR, how can you save the data on blockchain about, for example, about the company, if, for example, you're saving some personal data about its employees? So, of course, from this perspective, there can be a lot of cons for this, because the company might have some issues with that. But if we move actually to the right side, and of course, there are like some ways how you can actually for this use only the private blockchains or etc. So it doesn't have to be public information, for example. But if you really know how to use the blockchain technology in terms of saving the data and making sure that really nobody will change the data, like in retrospective, nobody will change it because it's tampered and it's irreversible. All of the information which is already on the blockchain, you cannot change it already. So it's tampered by timestamp. So it's already a good thing. It's first of all, so you can actually monitor and correctly insert the data. You can actually track and in this case, use it for the benefits, the financial transactions, because again, it's done, as you know, it's in this case, it's censorship resistant. It doesn't depend on the bank. It's decentralized from this perspective, and it's transparent. So everything in this case, you can actually see in terms of like finances, in terms of data saving. It can be helpful in terms of supply chain, but there is one thing you should also remember. Blockchain can save the data if we're talking about like supply chain, but the only issue, it only doesn't verify the information which is inserted to the blockchain. So these things you have to, I think, remember as well.
Tell us about your mentors. Who are your mentors in life?
So I may tell you, in different spheres of my life, I have different mentors. So these are the people that I'm asking for advice. So obviously, in some terms, I'm definitely, I would say, like my relatives, my mom, my parents, they are like mentors for me from some perspective. I may tell that I have really knowledgeable people in the blockchain space that I believe that are my mentors. I have my friend, his name is Anton Bosenko. He's actually started doing his coaching work in terms of business and etc. So I may tell that he definitely became a mentor for me. He taught me quite a lot. So I have a couple of them in different spheres, and I would say in different countries. So this is what I'm really grateful for, that I have them, not even one.
So what was the most challenging phase of your life?
I may tell you honestly, despite the fact that all of my experience, I was really all the time active in Ukrainian blockchain community. I'm ambassador of Ukrainian Blockchain Association. Right now, I'm thinking about joining some of the blockchain associations here in Dubai because they are asking me. There was a time, and of course, it was obviously connected with COVID thing, because even despite the fact that you're like really good in what you do, you're a professional in what you do, but still you sometimes face the issues that it's not so easy for you actually to get the job that you love. But at the same time, every time when you can see some challenges, after that comes opportunities. So to be honest, I was thinking during the COVID times that I would probably, this was the first time ever that I thought that I may leave Ukraine. So I would not be living there like for always, like as I was thinking before. And but at that time, I was thinking that maybe I should go to Singapore, maybe, or maybe to Hong Kong, somewhere else, like under the different interesting set of circumstances, how the life like probably brings some surprises. I actually ended up coming to work with one blockchain company in Dubai. Before, I was also doing them, but not here in Dubai. So in Dubai, it was a new chapter. And I may say, because of the challenges which I faced, it's also like the new chapter in my life, which has opened unexpectedly. But at the same time, it was a really nice surprise.
So what's your definition of success?
My definition of success is definitely love what you do, and at the same time, be really happy. Sometimes you may even do the love that you work, but still sometimes like it feels like as if you lack something. So whenever you feel happy while you're doing the love of your work, and you at the same time may truly help to other people and make them happy, this is probably the biggest conception and the best variant of being successful, the best option of being successful. I would say deep feeling of gratitude to what you have, or deep feeling of happiness inside. This is probably one of the best things which you can actually experience throughout your life.
So if you get hold of time machine, which phase of your life would you like to roll back?
As I was remembering today, there was a time when I maybe for some time would like to be a student again. But at the end of the day, I understand that I'm really happy with the present time. And these were really nice times, but I cannot say that these times are worse or something. These are just different times, but they're in very good way as well. They're really, for me, more successful, you may say. So the only thing that I can tell that it's very important probably sometimes maybe to sometimes even to go back if you want to childhood and etc. But at the end of the day, you still realize that the past moment you are in is the present moment. So I can definitely say that this is definitely one of the happiest times of my life.
So what do you think? What is the role of hard work, smart work, and luck in the success?
Well, I may tell you, whenever you work hard, I have some friends who work really hard in purpose. So they are studying and learning constantly, being great entrepreneurs, and they are doing this 24/7, you may say practically. Maybe having sometimes a day off, not 2 days off, or maybe 1 day off, and sometimes working from early AM till late PM, non-stop, and having just a few hours to for sleep. But what I've noticed so far, that actually if you really are in the right direction, you're working in the correct direction, I mean that you really love what you do, the hard work is actually bringing the luck. Luck can help you once or twice, etc. But you know what they say about luck? The luck is actually some kind of situation in your life, successful for which you're ready emotionally, physically, spiritually, etc. So this you may call luck. But I may say that at the same time, if you like the hard work that you're doing, it will automatically bring you luck. I may tell definitely I consider myself generally to be a lucky person, but of course it doesn't come without hard work, I believe. So for me, these inseparable ingredients in making in this case, you may say, your soup as a metaphor for your life, really tasty. So I believe you have to combine both.
So what do you see the difference between the work culture of Ukraine and UAE?
There are some differences, but I wouldn't say that too many. One of the things that I noticed so far that in Ukraine, for example, we tend to come earlier for the conferences. So in UAE, people like to come to conferences a bit later on, for example. There is a bit different approach in terms of how you, for example, send it even sometimes invitations for the conference and etc. But at the same time, what I can tell generally, that I'm generally lucky that I meet as well professional people as in Ukraine and UAE. So there are still some discrepancies, some differences. But at the same time, in terms of doing business, I may say that usually in Ukraine still, of course, people are still different. It doesn't depend, to be honest, on the country. But majority of people that I meet, they are really professionals and with whom I like to work further.
So what is that thing that you missed about Ukraine and UAE?
Probably I miss the way how we celebrate holidays. I miss my parents. I miss my friends. What I like still about Dubai, you can still see how they are preparing for New Year's Eve and for Christmas time. I miss Ukrainian churches sometimes. I miss Armenian monasteries. I love Armenia really much. But other than that, really, I feel really comfortable here and I really like being here. And I really like how the life is really giving some nice surprises, bringing nice gifts, nice collaborations and nice people to meet. With many people, we actually keep good relations, and this is what I really like.
As you have told in the beginning that you are going to start your own entrepreneurship journey. So tell us about your startup. What all things and what all services would you be providing in that?
My main journey right now, it's not something like extraordinary startup, but I would say it's the way how I can help on the behalf of my company in terms of consultancy services to different blockchain companies, how I'm already doing. So we are already right now negotiating with some of the companies, big companies, blockchain companies, which are expanding in the Middle East region. So I will be helping them in terms of marketing, PR, and awareness, blockchain awareness, education, blockchain education here. And this is one of the things. And additional thing is that I'll be also helping to organize a good quality and with great speakers, I hope, educational blockchain conferences. So this is mostly in terms of consultancy, but I definitely believe that from this perspective, I may bring the most benefits and bring the most expertise, taking into account my experience.
So how has been your journey from a radio presenter to an entrepreneur, which you are going to just start your journey with?
What I may tell you definitely was unexpected. It was something, I may say when somebody is listening to me, they also like to say that you can write the book about this. Like I used to write poems, now you need to write your biography about this. It's really unexpected, but really I may definitely say definitely extremely interesting. I may tell you honestly that since I don't know, long ago, all the time, I want my life to be interesting. I don't like this to be boring. I don't like this to be not exciting. I like to be passionate about what I do and how, for example, it influences my life, about the people with whom I interact in and with whom I become friends, good acquaintances, etc. So one of the things that I can definitely tell, this journey is really interesting, sometimes unexpected, sometimes with some challenges, but at the same time, I wouldn't be me if I wouldn't like to overcome those challenges. So one of the things that I can tell, I'm really persistent in my work, and this is actually my way to my personal success. Some gains, lessons that I learned in getting to the position, a place in your life where you feel comfortable 100% in every kind of your sphere, in any kind of activity that you're doing. I'm practically there, but there is no end. You can all the time, initiate all the time, work on yourself, and there is no end for your progress.
Any particular reason to choose crypto as your professional journey?
Learning about blockchain technology, it's extremely exciting. I would say this is one of the most complicated, to be honest, but at the same time, one of the most really exciting things to learn, and I'm really passionate about this. So I would say if you're truly passionate about this, if you truly like it, not because of the sake of, this crypto will rise in price and etc., but if you really like it, you'll definitely have to join it. So the only thing in this case I'm advising is try to understand it. I would say there is a handful of people who can truly understand it in all the details. Not so many, believe me. And I'm still learning myself. I'm not saying that I'm an expert. I'll never say this. Even my very people who are really knowledgeable, my big friends, but they are never saying that they are experts. They are people with big background and a lot of knowledge in this space. And of course, I will never say this about myself. But at the same time, if you really are eager to dedicate your time, the most of your time to learning about this, and you're really enjoying this, you may try. And if you're really enjoying this, you should definitely join. And mostly I would say it's for the majority of people, why this is important to learn about this. Whether you like it or not, you may like crypto, you may hate it, but it's still the part of our future. It might be not the whole life, but you definitely need to know about this. So what I'm trying to say, to understand about crypto, about blockchain, definitely to work in crypto and blockchain if you like it. If you like it, then definitely you should join it. I may say that the number of job offers in this sphere is growing, of course. And of course, it will be changing the landscape, workforce of everything what is going on in terms of the jobs around the world for the years to come. It will be changing. I wouldn't say drastically, but I would say you will definitely see big changes for sure.
So, as you are going to start your entrepreneurship journey, what are the initial challenges that you are facing right now?
Well, this is the funny part. I remember when I was thinking about this long time, and I used to think that although I can say that I'm a person who definitely is quite brave, I definitely not the person who can be like really timid or like somehow like being afraid of starting your new venture. Previously, I was thinking that, oh, all those people, they have such big background, they have such a big amount of knowledge, so probably I should wait or something like this. And I may say that right now, it seems like more logical thing to do, and not only logical, but it feels right now. In this period of my life, I believe that this is like the most right thing for me to do. And whenever you feel like this, I think in that case, you should try. And still, again, even there will be some challenges and etc. Of course, you think, what will happen next? What will be successful or? But it doesn't have to be an obstacle for you not to try. Because at the end of the day, even if there's kind of mistake, you still learn from it. And it's life. And it has to be exciting. It has to be interesting. So it's definitely one of the, I think, parts of my life which make it really interesting.
So what all are do's and don'ts you would suggest if anybody want to start his career and profession in crypto?
Be ready to learn a lot. Be ready to be there in 24/7. Even during your vacation, you probably should follow the news and etc. Sometimes, there was a time when I started working more on doing the startup battles between VCs. So these were like more traditional VC funds in startups. So during that time, I wasn't following the news closely. So I felt like as if I'm lacking something. But when I started again reading the news, etc., checking everything, I feel that it's the right time, it's the right place to be. So what I'm trying to say, be active, be in this case, don't be afraid, be brave, be 24/7, be really passionate about what you do. Don't be afraid to do any kind of to do some mistakes, because it's still at the end, they really teach us something. And when you overcome them already, you have already good examples actually from your experience. So I never, even with some kind of, as you may think about it, some setbacks, I still don't consider them to be some kind of problems in my life, that I'm never focusing too much on mistakes. You just have to learn from them and move on. So whenever you have this set of skills, or you're ready to develop those set of skills, I definitely believe that you should follow this path. And as I said, the only thing, you should love crypto, you should love blockchain. And in that case, this is probably the easiest way to become in this sphere successful.
So now we will start a rapid round. Your favorite actor and actress?
Favorite actor or actress? So I tell you this, there was a time when I was thinking about my top 5 actors, top 5 actresses. I may forget somebody of them, but I'll definitely try to mention the major ones. So my favorite actor one of them is Johnny Depp. The other one, Keanu Reeves. The third one, Robert Downey Jr. And with guys, it was I may say it was shifting, but I really like when they're really talented. Jane Barnes, I think. In terms of the women, for me, it was, I don't know, but it was really easier, sometimes, to follow them. I really like Eva Longoria. I like Catherine Zeta-Jones. I like Angelina Jolie. I probably like Monica Bellucci. And the fifth one, again, sometimes it's I'm thinking whom. Natalie Portman, yes.
Your favorite color?
I have probably 3 of them. So my favorite is actually, I think, red, because it's the color of passion. But I also like raspberry color. So it's closer to red. And sometimes I like violet, sometimes.
Your favorite destination?
I would say it's really hard to tell because I don't have one. But I think that or near the sea, or sometimes in the mountains. It might be in Armenia. I really love there in the mountains with the monasteries in Carpathians, where I was born. I really like sometimes here by the sea, here in Dubai, and I like to spend some time in Italy by the sea as well. So I really like Barcelona. I cannot say just one place, but this is probably where you feel at some point of your life really blissful and really peaceful at the same time. So I may say these are different places.
What are the things which are in your wish list to be completed?
The thing is, as they say, sometimes it's better not to announce them. So I have actually some of my goals, probably at least top 10. But I also heard that you definitely need to have, and you won't believe it, wish list of 500 goals. I really want to work with the best. I will learn how to play piano, for example, how to organize like every aspect of your life in the best way. But this is like, I have my business goals, I have my personal goals, I have my spiritual goals. So definitely they make probably more than 10, that's for sure, maybe even 500. But definitely the one thing you should do, that you truly wish for them, truly want them, and in that case, you definitely will achieve them.
Your dream house.
I may say that it definitely can be here in Dubai. I may definitely already say this. And it definitely has to be near the sea. So it's probably might be somewhere near JBR area or somewhere out there. And it might be specifically in Dubai Marina.
Your second choice of career.
I think I would do the news, like practically. If I would not be doing the business, definitely will go back and I would be a reporter, a news reporter, or I would be a news presenter, because this is definitely as well additional thing which I'm passionate about as well.
At last, one line that defines you.
What I can tell about me, I'm a really curious person, which actually I think would help me to become who I am right now and be at the place where I'm right now. I'm curious, persistent at achieving success. And in this case, I can definitely tell that I'm enjoying practically almost every moment of my life.
Thank you very much for your precious time and the advices and experience you have shared on our show. It was a pleasure talking to you.
It was great pleasure. Thank you so much, Gaurav, for your patience. It was really great pleasure for me as well. And one of the most important things that throughout these interviews, you kind of discovering yourself from the new, like it seems like from new perspective, and it's really interesting. So for me, it was really as well nice journey coming back, my childhood, my students, college years, and really like speaking out about some of the things that I'm thinking of. So definitely, it was a great pleasure and great pleasure meeting you. I really enjoyed your questions.
Same here. Thank you very much. Thanks for watching Amazing Mentor. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button to get regular updates. Thank you very much.